Tonight on Joy News Prime, National Executive Committee of Opposition NDC endorses its flag bearer's decision to go to court to challenge the result of the 2020 general election.
That resolution has been passed and approved unanimously for the flag bearer to challenge the outcome of the presidential elections, and also in the parliamentary elections where there are disputes.
The party, meanwhile, says the court case does not necessarily mean it is abandoning its right to protest.
Well, you cannot see the end of the street protest because 8 people have lost their lives. There is a need for us to seek justice for them. So every single avenue that is available, since we are not in the position to file a civil case in respect of murder, we would have to demand that the state take that matter up. And if it takes being on the streets, demonstrating, mass action, mass protest to do that, we are going to do that.
Civil society organizations and media freedom advocates demand more action from state actors against attacks on journalists.
Important that the police and the state apparatus take the attacks on journalists and the media very, very seriously, and then they should be seen of being able to support. But in saying so ourselves, we as journalists as well, we also need to take.
Government, however, says journalists have continued to enjoy their freedoms under the current administration.
I think that notion about the freedom of the media being under attack is erroneous. It's not happening anywhere. It's a figment of the.
Would you like to say that to Manasseh?
The state has filed a case at the Supreme Court challenging the order of the whole High Court to injunct the swearing-in of John Peter Meu as a Member of Parliament for Hohoe. Would have details coming your way. Also in the bulletin in business, Ghana Tourism Federation laments delayed support from governments as more businesses collapse amid the coronavirus pandemic.
We haven't advanced anywhere. We've been asking for support. The last media release that we did was about the PCR test or the antigen test at the Kotoka International Airport, the $150, which a lot of people have cancelled their trip because of that.
My name is Israel. Joy News Prime is coming to you live from Afanafa Studios at Kokomlimli here in Accra on your digital terrestrial TV, because we're free to air, and also on DSTV channel 421 and GoTV channel 144. This is a home of independent, fearless, credible, and impactful journalism. Stay tuned in. The opposition National Democratic Congress Tuesday firmed up its decision to go to court over alleged irregularities in the 2020 general elections. The party, through its National Executive Committee, ratified the position of its presidential candidate, John Mahama, to challenge the results as announced by the Electoral Commission. The party, among others, says it will be urging the Supreme Court to allow an independent person to collate the votes obtained by the candidates in the elections, as well as audit the electoral materials used. Mr. Mahama obtained 47.36% against President Akufo-Addo's 51.59% in an election international observers have described as free and fair. Manuel Coranting was at the NEC meeting in our reports.
Well, exactly 20 days after the declaration of the results of the 2020 presidential elections, the NDC has today, through its National Executive Committee, ratified the decision by the flag bearer and some functionaries of the party to reject outrightly the results as declared by the EC. Well, it has been meeting in Accra today at the Nat Hall.
The constituent component of the party, made up of the National Executive Committee, the parliamentary group, today all the 137 plus Tachiman South, which we believe that is still an elected member of parliament, making it 138, were here. The leadership of parliament was here. Our council of elders were here. The functional executive and the national executive committee were all here. And that a resolution has been passed and approved unanimously for the flag bearer to challenge the outcome of the presidential elections. And also, in the parliamentary elections where there are disputes, the legal team has been empowered to make sure that they explore all the legal processes to ensure that justice is restored and the will of the people is not subverted.
Just before the declaration of the results, the NDC and its supporters began massing up at the premises of the Electoral Commission, demanding the redeclaration of what they called a stolen verdict. But they have been protesting what they describe as irregularities and anomalies in the numbers as were recorded and so declared by the Electoral Commission on 9th December. Well, the Deputy General Secretary of the party, Peter Boama Otokuno, says that, well, its decision to go to court to seek certain reliefs as regarding the result will not stop it from continuing to mass up on the streets. He says that the massing up that we're seeing and the sort of protests across the country is in demand of justice for the lives which were slain and the lives which were lost during the collation, and in some instances post the collation of the results.
Well, you cannot see the end of the street protest because 8 people have lost their lives. There is a need for us to seek justice for them. So every single avenue that is available, since we are not in the position to file a civil case in respect of murder, we would have to demand that the state take that matter up. And if it takes being on the streets, demonstrating, mass action, mass protest to do that, we are going to do that. In fact, we will not hesitate to take that option at all. We want a conclusive investigation. 3 people have been shot dead. So who shot them? What is the law saying about those who shot the individuals dead? Have they been sent to court? Have we arrested them? That is when you talk about, having resolved the matter. We are demanding justice for the families of those individuals who lost their lives. And every single legal, legitimate avenue that is available for us to demand justice for those individuals that have lost their lives, those martyrs, we would take that avenue.
Well, this decision by the NDC to head to court officially leaves the party with just a little over 24 hours, giving the 21-day window for the challenging of election results in the country. Well, it waits to be seen whether or not indeed, as ratified by the party's National Executive Committee, the case will be filed in the Supreme Court. From here at the Teachers' Hall in Accra, my name is Manuel Kranting for Joy News.
Our Joy News Court correspondent Joseph Akabile has been checking at the Supreme Court if that petition has been filed by the NDC, and he joins me right now. Joseph, do you know if the petition has been filed yet?
Well, Israel, the Supreme Court registry closed work at 4:30 p.m. today. As at close of work today, when we checked at the registry, no such petition had been filed by close of day today.
All right, but what have you picked up regarding the main planks of the NDC's case?
And so we have been checking with our sources within the legal team and within the party itself and within the camp of the presidential candidates, the NDC's presidential candidates who will be filing this petition. We understand that the petition will be filed tomorrow, which will be the 21st day since declaration of results. You recall the EC declared the results on December 9, 2020. And so it will be in line with the 21 days required by the Constitution for such a petition to be filed. The lawyers again make the point that they have been working since the results were declared, and the aim has been to identify and try and understand what exactly happened, because they firmly believe that Ghanaians turned out in their numbers and voted for the NDC presidential candidate. And so they first had a team of experts that included statisticians as well as lawyers and auditors that looked through the pink sheets and put the pink sheets together and came back with a report which was analyzed by the legal team, and the decision was taken to proceed to court. And so what they'll be seeking to put before the Supreme Court is evidence in the form of pink sheets that they say tell a certain story, and the story they say is that of arithmetic errors that they believe was deliberate with the aim of ensuring that Nana Akufo-Addo is declared president-elect, and they will be urging the Supreme Court to annul that particular result. We are told per the request they'll be making that the worst case scenario, should the court grant their request, will be that there will be a runoff, as none of the candidates who contested in the just ended elections, in their view, per their analysis, got more than 50% of the votes cast. And so that is the worst case scenario that will be putting before the court by way of request. But they will additionally be pointing out some regulatory issues in terms of laws, the CI 127, the law that govern the elections, and how certain aspects of it were not complied with by the Electoral Commission. We understand that they are fine-tuning the petition, and tomorrow that petition will be filed in line with a directive from the National Executive Council of the party.
Thank you very much. That was court correspondent Joseph Akable. But staying with the NDC, the Bono East Regional Secretariat of the party has described preliminary investigations conducted by the police CID into the Techiman South shootings as full of falsehoods and inaccuracies. The party, at a news conference addressed by its regional secretary, Mohammed Shamsuddin Ali, called on the government to establish a proper investigative committee to look into the matter in order to guarantee peace in the region. My colleague Anas Abid monitored the briefing and came through with the following report.
At a press conference organized by the Bono East Regional NDC and addressed by the party's regional secretary, Mohammed Shamsuddin Ali, the party accused the police of being in bed with the governing New Patriotic Party. Mr. Shamsuddin Ali described narratives made by the Director General of the CID, COP Isaac Kenyabua, in relation to the Techiman South coalition as full of falsehoods and inaccuracies.
We have invited you here this morning purposely to make some vital correction in the distortion of facts in the preliminary investigation made by the police CID and the statement made by the Inspector General, the Director General of CID, COP Isaac Kenyabua, which are full of inaccuracy and falsehood, corroborating our belief that the police department are seriously in bed with the MPP government. This action by the police, we believe, will not augur well for the nation in deepening our democracy in the African continent.
The party accused the police of acting unprofessionally and called on government to establish what it called a proper investigative committee, as it has lost trust in the police CID.
What I want to say here is that the police should not play with the intelligence of the good people of this region and the country as a whole. The police behaved unprofessionally, and they should, as a matter of urgency, bring the perpetrators to book and ensure that justice is served to the people who were affected. We are, by this press conference, calling on government to set up a proper investigative committee to investigate this matter and bring the perpetrators to book in order to guarantee peace in the region. We can't trust the police CID to do a good job, since they have shown clearly that they can't be neutral and transparent in this matter, since the perpetrators of this monstrous crime are their colleagues.
On the subject of coalition, however, the NDC is still standing by its earlier claims that coalition was not done properly at the Techiman South Coalition Center.
Looking at the incident that occurred at the Bono Champion War, proper coalition were not done. If they claim they had done coalition, the proper coalition hasn't taken place.
The party described the actions of the returning officer for the Techiman South constituency as criminal, thereby justifying the attempts made by its Techiman South parliamentary candidate and other executives to stop the declaration.
This is where our people were resisting. You can see our candidate and our people resisting, because it is each and every individual right to prevent someone in committing a crime. The man wants to commit a crime because he's not using the legally mandated pink sheet. So he's committing a crime. He was stealing. That is why our men were preventing.
They reiterated earlier calls by the leadership of the parliamentary caucus of the NDC to recollate the Techiman South parliamentary results. Reporting for Joy News, Anas Sabit, Techiman.
You're watching Joy News Prime. We're taking a break. When we come back, we have more stories. Don't go away. Chief Executive of the Telecoms Chamber and former media executive Ken Ashigbe has asked all stakeholders to join the fight against what he describes as the growing impunity against journalists. He also makes the point he's not convinced the state is doing enough to discourage attacks on journalists. Mr. Ashigbe has been reacting to threats on the life of a number of journalists, including investigative journalist Manasseh Azuri following the outcome of the 2020 election. Speaking on The Pulse on Joy News, he condemned suggestions that journalists sometimes invite these attacks.
I'm not too sure how many politicians have been beaten because they've taken a wrong decision. I'm not too sure how many doctors have been beaten because surgery has gone wrong. I'm not too sure how many lawyers have been attacked because they've lost cases in court. So I've always had this position that when we start discussing the safety of journalists, and then we start hearing the issue of responsibility, it is like justifying the reasons why people should be attacked. And if you look in our situation in Ghana, most of the journalists who have been attacked, from the four of you who have been threatened, from Manasseh, from Efiapokua, tell me how many of these were doing irresponsible journalism. Most of the time, the people who are attacked when they are doing their job. So, if and you find out that those who are doing irresponsible journalism, nobody really touches them. Nobody touches them because they are normally aligned to political. It is politicians who are running media stations, media houses who behave in that, and they are not attacked. It is normally the mainstream media who are attacked. The issues of attack of multimedia, when we call elections, it's not something that happened recently. As far back as when I was, general manager of Joy FM, we experienced that and we've seen that. So you call the elections for one political party, then the other comes to attack you. And that has happened severally. And it is important that we stop this thing of saying that, responsibility and safety are the same side of court. It's completely wrong.
He charged the relevant state institutions to be up and doing, adding that it is also in the interest of all and sundry to ensure media freedoms are protected.
It is inexplicable that currently, as we speak, Latif's case, the police have not been able to tell us who were involved in that. When you go back and you look again into the literature, the police are also one of the people who are involved in the attack of the media. But they forget that when the situation turns, and the force of the state is against them, it's the media they all run to. Not only should they take them seriously, but even the way they report back to us. If you take the issue of Amex Wale, yes, we know that some of these investigations can take a while. But you ask yourself, when was the last time that we got any reportage, any update from the police that this is work that they're doing and this is how it's going? It's important that the police and the state apparatus take the attacks on journalists and the media very, very seriously, and then they should be seen of being able to support. But in saying so ourselves, we as journalists as well, we also need to take the defense and the advocacy of ourselves a bit more seriously. Most of the time, we advocate for others. When issues of others come, we follow them. But when it comes to ourselves, we do not. And I think it is important that journalists, for this particular time, we make sure that all the cases that are out there, on a constant basis, we are going back to the police and asking them what is the state of this, so that we can report back to Ghanaians, and then we can also be able to support them. And then also for me, another pain I have, and that's where I dug my heart out for multimedia, is the fact that when these things happen, I've heard that you have written to the police CID reporting about that. But I'm not too sure that I have seen any formal complaint from the Despite group about the challenge involving Efiapokua. And it's important for all publishers that we need to realize that it is on the sweat and the blood of these journalists that we earn our living.
The Media Foundation for West Africa is also demanding swift investigations into threats on the lives of some media practitioners. In an interview on the Prime Morning Show, Executive Director of the Media Foundation for West Africa, Suleiman Brahima, said the lack of action against persons who threaten journalists for doing their work seems to be breeding impunity.
Well, in this particular instance, it calls for swift investigation, and I know Manasseh has reported the matter to the police, and we can only expect that the police would do a very thorough investigation and bring the perpetrator to book. It's important that we go beyond what is happening to Manasseh, to others who have also raised complaints of intimidation, complaints of threats, and I've learned about Efia Pokria raising a similar concern. I've read about Abdulhai Mumin of GDC also making a similar report. And as I said, I think it provides an opportunity for the police to send a clear signal.
Martin Pebu on his part says journalists themselves should not stay silent when such attacks happen.
Whatever happens to your neighbor may well affect you. We have other popular saying that when your neighbor's beard is on fire, you find water for yours, right? You could go on and on and on. So let's just make sure that every day we will stand up against these misguided elements. Yes, we know they are bound to come up, but we also are bound to stand up against them. And of course, I want to bring in the constitutional provision here so that we reflect on saying, the point is that you guys as media, you don't have an option because the Constitution says that you shall uphold the accountability, you see, of the government. It's not an option. It's in Article 162. 162 Clause 5.
Deputy Information Minister Pius Hajide, despite the incidents, believes the media is enjoying a lot of freedom under this current administration. He has been speaking on Joy FM's Super Morning Show with Kojo Yankson.
The work of the journalists has been made even much more easier, more competition and all that. Right. First of all, I think that notion about the freedom of the media being under attack is erroneous. It's not happening anywhere. It's a figment of the.
Would you like to say that to Manasseh,
in imagination
to Abdul Hayy Mumin?
I'm saying to
the family of Ahmed Swale.
I'm saying that, you see, that's what I was going to come to. But before I come to that one, this theory of alignment, I beg to differ. I think that what worries me may be what some people call mercenary journalism. If that's what we are discussing, that can be a problem. Because it is clear, there's the literature that safety and responsibility are two sides of the same coin. And so as we speak about the safety of journalists, we at the same point are talking about responsible journalism. And so if we are talking about mercenary journalism and sometimes even opinion journalism, we can talk about those.
Are you saying that opinion journalism warrants
Yeah, that's the problem. Is that,
are you saying that opinion journalism warrants
attacks? It's not me saying that. This literature is confirmed. This literature is researched that safety and responsibility are the two sides of one coin. And
so,
Honorable Dafemekpo made a point
opinion
earlier,
journalism
which may be lost
is not
on
responsible
us,
journalism.
But I'm say again.
So opinion journalism is not responsible journalism.
Well, I don't know what opinion journalism cannot be opinion. As far as reporting the facts are concerned, you are not, as a journalist, you are not under obligation to report your opinion.
Reporting
you are reporting
one
the facts.
method of.
In a related development, the Greater Accra Regional Chairman of the NDC, Joseph Adekoka, has been condemning the threats directed at journalists. While denying the party's involvement, he maintains journalists must maintain a position of fairness to avoid being targets of these attacks.
I think journalists are part of the system. All that we are asking that the journalists should be fair and ensure that the truth is given out. It's very important. You are the fourth estate of the realm. And when things are going wrong, you should be bold enough to say it, regardless of the threats of your life. It's very important. Just as we politicians also say what's on mind. But the journalists should be fair so that posterity will remember them as the vanguard of our democracy. It's very, very important.
of the day, fairness has implications. Some people are not always happy with that fairness. And the question is, as these threats keep on coming, I mean, these are people with families and so on. Some of them have even been attacked, assaulted, and so on.
No. If you are fair and somebody attacks you, you come to your defense. Okay. That's the important thing. Like what is happening in Sakuriosu and what is happening in, what do you call it, Techiman. You should be truthful about it. You should, when you do that, anybody who attacks you will come to your defense.
The state has filed a case at the Supreme Court challenging the order of the Ho High Court that granted an injunction against the swearing-in of John Peter Amewu as a Member of Parliament for the Hohoe constituency. The state consequently wants the decision of the Ho High Court quashed and also the court stopped from hearing the substantive case brought against Mr. Amewu and the Electoral Commission. The state in the suit said the ruling from the court constituted a patent error since it did not have the capacity to hear the matter. The Ho High Court, presided over by Justice George Bwedi, made the decision after an ex-parte application was argued by Chachu Chiketo on December 23, 2020. The legal practitioner insisted that his clients were not given the opportunity to vote in the parliamentary election in the Hohoe constituency. The NDC, which lost the election, argues if the electorate in the communities that were disenfranchised were allowed to vote, their votes could have changed the outcome of the poll.
None.
The Energy Minister and Member of Parliament-elect for Hohoe, John Peter Amewu, meanwhile, is pledging tremendous transformation of the constituency within the next 4 years. According to him, he would work to ensure Hohoe sees growth in economic and human resources and restoration of its lost glory. This, he believes, would ensure the NPP will continue to occupy the Hohoe parliamentary seat for a long time to come. Fred Kwame Asari's report.
At the launch of Mr. Amewu's campaign in Hohoe, President Akufo-Addo endorsed him and appealed to the electorates to elect him as their next MP for a tremendous transformation of the constituency.
And even without being an MP, you have seen the work that he's doing here in Hohoe. Add MP to the minister and you will see the rapid transformation of Hohoe.
Following his historic victory, Mr. Amewu embarked on a tour to thank his constituents and show appreciation. In recounting the president's promise, he assured the people that the transformation would come to fruition.
President Akufo-Addo promised to resolve all your challenges in the Hohoe constituency if you elect Johnny as the MP.
Hohoe seat today is a golden seat. It's a golden seat. We will build millionaires from this town. The golden still will remain. This golden seat will never go again. Hohoe from today is a seat for the NPP.
Some people are still in shock. I won the Hohoe parliamentary seat.
The Volta Regional Chairman of the New Patriotic Party, Makafi Wanya, urged the constituents to rally behind the MP-elect to enable him to deliver on his mandate.
We're taking a break here on Joy News Prime. We have business news coming up in business. Ghana Tourism Federation laments delayed support from government as more businesses collapse amid the coronavirus pandemic.
We haven't advanced anywhere. We've been asking for support. The last media release that we did was about the PCR test or the antigen test at the Kotoka International Airport, the $150, which a lot of people have cancelled their trip because of that.
Stay tuned in. We'll have that coming up shortly.
Hi there, time to bring you some business news. My name is Darryl Kwa. We'll begin with the tourism sector. Some players there who were hardly hit by the COVID-19 pandemic and hoping to take advantage of the Utah say the celebration has not changed their lost fortunes. They are asking government to make do of its promise to provide some stimulus for affected businesses in the tourism sector. Emmanuel Frimpong is the Executive Secretary of the Ghana Tourism Federation.
Is becoming bad every day. Just from 24 to 27, a team of GATOP members went to Eastern Region just to observe how things are going with them. And Darrell, the situation is not something that we are happy about. You go to the hotels, you go to restaurants, you go to places where in the past you see business going on. You go to these places, and some of the hotels, just one or two people in the hotel. And it's something we really need to look at and see how best we can help. Businesses are down. These festivities, people are not seeing what they used to see as far as business is concerned. So our members are indeed struggling.
Okay, and I know towards the end of the year, there was discussion about some sort of support for tourism sector players. How have we advanced?
We haven't advanced anywhere. We've been asking for support. The last media release that we did was about the PCR test or the antigen test at the Kotoka International Airport, the $150, which a lot of people have cancelled their trip because of that. And I'm a witness to that. I had a family that were coming, a family of 4. Because of that, because each person was supposed to pay $150. 4 of them was $600, which the father said he could not afford. And there are several other people who have cancelled their trip who plan to come in December. But because of this $150, most of them had to cancel their trip. And we've been crying out to the government to look at how best, at least if for nothing, for this December, if it could be halved, then people could come and visit, but that could not be done.
Now, Ghana bagged $2.89 billion from non-traditional exports last year. That's according to latest figures from the Ghana Export Promotion Authority. Here's more in this report.
The 2019 non-traditional exports earnings was 3.10%, higher than that of 2018, which was estimated at $2.83 billion. According to the Ghana Export Promotion Authority, non-traditional exports accounted for 8.53% of total exports last year. The appreciation in non-traditional exports is associated with higher performance in the processed and semi-processed products sector, particularly cocoa cake, palm oil, iron, and steel products. Manufacturing was the highest contributing sector, accounting for about 84.6% of the total non-traditional exports. The agricultural sector, however, dipped in performance, recording 14.84% of total exports. Industrial arts and crafts also accounted for 0.50% of total non-traditional exports, compared with 12.82% the previous year. In terms of destination, non-traditional export products were exported to 155 countries. Netherlands was the leading country with imports of $381 million of non-traditional exports from Ghana. It was followed by neighboring Burkina Faso and Togo in second and third respectively. France, India, United Kingdom, United States, Germany, Vietnam, and Senegal completed the top 10 destinations of non-traditional exports from Ghana. Meanwhile, the Ghana Export Promotion Authority made significant strides in services export promotion, education services, medical services, information technology, and IT-enabled services export in 2019.
And that's it for business. You can always keep up to date on our website, myjoyonline.com/business. Sports is up next. Stay tuned.
Time to bring you sports here on Joy News Prime. My name is Hans Mensah, and I will begin from former Vice President of the Ghana Football Association, George Afriyie, who believes the outcome of the 2019 Ghana Football Association presidential elections divided the football family. There is more in the following report.
The 2019 GFA presidential election saw the top three candidates, Kurt Okreku, George Afriye, and Nanayo Amponsa, secure 44, 40, and 27 votes respectively. Former Vice President of the Ghana Football Association, George Afriye, who conceded defeat after a second round of delegates casting their ballots, said the outcome of the elections showed that the football family was divided.
If you look at what happened in that election, it showed clearly that our football was divided. The results of the 2019 GFA election shows that the first round was clear. So personally, if I was in the shoes of the president, I will try to bring everybody on board, just to have a united front to execute the agenda of bring back the love.
Mr. Afriye is calling on the GFA president to bring everyone on board if he wants to succeed as head of the football governing body in the country.
Kurt had 44, I had 40, and I had 27. It was clear. Fred Papo had 7. It was clear. There are still people who believe in Kurt. There are some people who believe in Nanayo. There are some people who believe in George. There are some people who believe in... It's clear. It shows that no clear one person had the total majority of the people. It was clear. You saw it.
But must someone have the total majority of the people?
If someone has that total majority, it shows the total confidence of the whole football family behind you. You don't know that? That is how come Mr. Kwesi Nyantakyi was able to rule almost 3 times. Because he had everybody supporting him. See, sometimes when we say these things, it is even good for Kurt. Because when you bring everybody on board, then it gets to a point where nobody even wants to contest you. You are there.
Kurt Okreku was voted GFA president after 3 rounds of voting, which saw him succeed Kwesi Nyantakyi as president of the Ghana Football Association.
Now, former Netherlands and Middlesbrough midfielder George Boateng has not hidden his desire to coach the Black Stars in the near future. The 45-year-old is now in charge of the under-23 team of Premier League side Aston Villa. Sarah Bediako has more in the following report.
Even though he was born in Ghana, George Boateng represented the Netherlands at international level, earning 4 caps in total. After spells at 9 clubs, including Feyenoord and Middlesbrough, and making 499 appearances, the 45-year-old called time on his career in 2013, but he did not move too far away from the sport he loves so much. He ventured into coaching in 2014. He began at Malaysian club Kelantan FA. These days, he's the head coach of the under-23 team of his former club Aston Villa. George Boateng is eager to give everything for the Birmingham-based club, but his long-term dream is to coach the Black Stars.
If the Black Stars need me, I will always be available. I've always said that, and I would always help. I have a very good relationship with the GFA, with Mr. Okreku and the Vice President, Mr. Mark Addo. They are doing a great job now, and I've always indicated that if they need my services, I'm always able to talk, and if we can then come together and put our heads together and achieve and agree on something, that's perfect. But yeah, there will definitely be an interest to one day to manage Black Stars.
George Boateng is happy with the work of current Black Stars coach CK Akono.
CK is doing it. Let him do it. Let him give him the time that he needs to develop and to put a good team together. I'm not after his job at all. I think I'm now in a very good position where I'm enjoying my coaching. I love Aston Villa. I love what I'm. It's a great club. We are back in the Premier League.
He may not have represented Ghana at international level, but his desire to coach the Black Stars in the not too distant future is still burning.
Right, that's it for sports. We take a break here on Joy News Point.
So time for showbiz, and Noella is here, but I am in my mask because Noella is refusing to, or she didn't bring a mask along.
Yeah, I didn't refuse to, Israel.
Okay.
So let's begin with the Ghana Tourism Authority, because they have issued a statement to debunk claims that they banned movie maker or movie director Kobe Rana's Freedom and Justice movie. You know, some days ago, news went rife that they had banned the movie from premiering or showing, and so they've, released a statement to that effect. There's more on this report.
Quote, our venues were served with letters by the Ghana Tourism Authority to stop showing the movie. These venues were later visited, warned, and locked with armed policemen. It is unfortunate no letter was sent to us, but our venues rather, end quote. But the Ghana Tourism Authority denies this. In a statement released by the authority, they explained that it stopped the premiere of the movie as a way of curbing the COVID-19 pandemic. Except of the statement reads, quote, the Ghana Tourism Authority, which is the regulatory agency mandated by law under the Tourism Act to regulate these tourism facilities, i.e. benches, cinemas, movie houses and nightclubs, is enforcing the directives of the President. Cinemas, beaches and nightclub operators have all been part of the ongoing stakeholder engagement with the National COVID-19 Task Force, end quote.
Why did you send your children to Europe and America?
The secondary is free.
But it looks like a movie I'd want to see.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
I definitely would want to watch that movie. But away from that, yesterday, Shatta performed at Hohoi at Peter Mewu's Energy Minister's Peter Mewu's victory. Yeah.
Shatta?
Yeah, Shatta.
She was today.
All right, thank you very much, Noella. And that'll be it for the bulletin this evening. It's going to be 1 hour. I am Israelite. Thank you very much for watching. You have a good night.